All right, my beautiful friends, happy Sunday. I'm doing quick live, which then you will be able to replay on YouTube. But I just wanted to hop on really quick before my next meeting here. And I want to discuss something very important, okay? Because a lot of people are not really getting it. And I get it. I wasn't getting it for a while too, but I always knew that something was really kind of, stinking fishy. All right. And then, you start asking questions, you start digging, and you start realizing, oh my gosh, holy crap. This is total mind game of illusions. All right. So I want to explain something very, very important. I will wait a few more moments for people to tune in to make sure that we are live. I posted a question. How can a mortgage company foreclose on a loan when there is no money and kick you off property, your land that you settled on, when they have no interest in it? Okay. So that's what I will be discussing. And it's actually not that complicated, but we have to really start realizing what's going on. And this is all about separating the fiction from the reality. All right. I'm not sure if I'm live. Hopefully I am. So I will just go on because I don't have much time today. And we will be discussing this because, asking, right? Asking. We have to remember something very important, and this is truly mind-blowing. So it goes all the way to 1215 Magna Carta, when the king was made to surrender his sovereignty to the people, which means prior to that only the king could own the land. And when 1215 happened, Magna Carta was put in place. Now we have it in the declaration, in the documentation, that we are our own kings and queens, and that's where it comes from. All right. In America here, amazing opportunity, truly the most exciting experiment that we could ask for if we can hold the republic, if we can stand as people. So how can these companies do this? All right. They can only do that because you allow them to. Okay. And that's how simple it is. They are only doing it because people allow them to fool you. All right. They are literally fooling you, because if you really look into the documentations, your deed of trust or a warranty deed, corporate deed, or whatever it might be, there are two different things. Okay. We have the land, which is called the private property, and we have a real property. At least here in California, it might be called something, hopefully the same thing or something similar in your state, whichever state you are in. So we have the private property, which is actually the land, which can be only described through metes and bounds. What is metes and bounds? That's a description of the distances between the pipes directly installed, found in the land. All right. That's the physical thing that it exists. And you go from the first pipe at this degree to the next pipe, this length, this many feet, until you reach the next pipe. And then you basically, that's how the property is described. This is like if you were putting fence. All right. If you were putting fence, you need to have the specific description of the property so you are not encroaching on someone else's property. Okay. But if you really start looking through the mortgage thing that's happening, and even just through the whole real estate, okay, they created an overlay. Okay. And when I say they, it's the corporation, it's the quasi-government, which these are the corporations pretending to be the government. That's why we call it de facto. We call it the quasi-government. It's corporation. State of California, state of Nevada, state of Nebraska, state of Virginia, state of Alaska, state of North Carolina. Look it up. They are all corporations, right? And so what they had to do is corporation, which is a fiction, it's creation of the mind. It doesn't exist. It only exists on a paper, okay? Some clever men, attorneys, British accredited Regency, bar members, which is nothing more than a Costco membership card. They came up with a clever way how corporation can be discussing fiction can be discussing fiction. So they had to do it same thing for the land, okay? So they created this overlay, which became the federal territory and literally located in United States, which is a federal corporation located in District of Columbia. 28 USC 3002-15A UCC. In California, actually, it's codified under California Commercial Code 937, paragraph H. All right. So they had to basically create an overlay to bring that actual land to the legal la-la land. Okay. And they call it the assessor's map. And on the assessor's map, they created a parcel. And this parcel now is no longer described in the physical metes and bounds because it's a fiction. Okay? It's a fiction. It only exists on this fictional map, which is the overlay for the District of Columbia. And how we know that is they created these addresses that you have a zip code, which stands for Zone Improvement Plan. All right. So here in California, we have a zip code 91234. Okay. So the 9 first stands for the 9th district of District of Columbia. That's for the overlay. Now the parcel is now identified under APN or parcel number. That's basically for the tax assessors tax assessing purposes, all right, within the District of Columbia. And that's where the whole game is played, my beautiful friends, all right, in this fictional legal la-la land. So when you go and you settle on your land via the so-called purchase, where all was really used was promissory note that was deposited, and through this whole big hoopla, they made you believe that you actually got a loan, which you never got a loan. But that's not what we are discussing today, okay? Today I just want to really focus on the property description, okay? So the actual land, the physical land that you can walk with your 2 feet or crawl or lay on, all right, is only described in metes and bounds. And that was given to us by the king when he surrendered his sovereignty. So now people could own the land. And these lands were secured under land patent. Okay, you've probably heard it, that term before. This land patent, it's not that you go to get it somewhere. The land patent is there, which secured all the properties. And the land patent is most likely sitting there abandoned, actually, because the land is abandoned. Okay, so when you purchase a property, you are settling on the actual land, right? And they take you from that physical reality into the legal la-la land of that District of Columbia overlay. Okay, they take you from the private property, which is the land described in metes and bounds, and they take you into the overlay of the District of Columbia, described through the assessor's map, tax assessor's map, which is referring to the parcel number. Okay, so now we are in the fiction. And this is actually great news, because that's this whole real estate transaction, these mortgage companies and all these trusts created and all that stuff, that's what the interest is secured in, okay? In this ghost la la land, all right? Which is not the actual land. So this is why I was asking question, not to make you feel upset or mad, but really to encourage you, because they cannot foreclose on your land because they have no interest in the land. The only interest they have is in the fictional federal territory overlay, and honestly, they can have it. Have them have it. All right? Have them have it, because once you make the claim for the land that's literally sitting abandoned, if you haven't claimed it, it's sitting abandoned and it's is waiting for the takers. All right? So when you make a claim for this abandoned land that can be only described in metes and bounds, and which is secured under the land patent, which doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't go with the people, it stays with the land. So once you settled on the land, you make the claim to that land secured under the land patent, and there is nothing anyone can do, because you are the settler. You are what our founding fathers did, all right? And then you can let them to go crazy and play their legal la la land game and claim all the interest to the APN, which, by the way, has been trespassing, I guess, on my private land. So come to pick it up, because if you don't, I probably will have to find someone who can find it and return it to the tax assessor so they can have their property back. But this is how it's done, people. So all these foreclosures and all these people losing their properties, their homes, families destroyed, is because they allowed it. I know it sounds horrible, but they allowed it because they never separated the fiction from the reality. They never separated the wording of the real property, which, by the way, in the state codes you will find means estate, okay? Estate, which is not the private property. We have the private property, and then we have the real property, which is estate, and that's why they can tax it, because only estate can be taxed. Private property cannot be taxed. All right? This is the game that's played. So when all these people allowed these public pretenders to take their properties and these corporations to kick them out of their home, is because they did not comprehend the game that's being played here. And it's literally a mind game. There's nothing more than a mind game. And once you figure it out, once you claim your land and you become the king and queen, which is guaranteed to us here in America, then there is no controversy. There is no controversy. And when there is no controversy, there is no need for any court. They cannot sue you. They cannot do anything to you because there is no controversy. And so then there is no fighting for nothing, because they can have their fiction. We, the people, have the real land, the real property. And that's how simple it is. Settled. Nothing more to argue. Nothing more to fight over. Because you have to remember that when they created these corporations was to basically bring it out of the physical reality to bring it into the fiction. It's to literally protect the men and the women behind the corporate veil, right? Because if you also look at through all the paperwork, there is no one foreclosing on anyone, all right? It's always some customer care team, some consumer compliance team. So is it Mr. Customer Care Team or is it Mrs. Customer Care Team? Not a single man ever sent one of these letters, okay? Because that fiction can only speak to the fiction, and people take it like it's real. It is not real. And when you call them on it, you know, you literally pierce through that illusion, all right? You pierce through that, you know, fiction, through that mind control, the fear mongering and all that stuff. Yeah, foreclose. Go ahead, be my guest. Foreclose on the parcel number. Yeah, it's sitting with the assessor's office. In the assessors, we are being muted here for a moment. Okay, guys. So I wanted to hop on to explain why I was asking the question. I was asking the question because we are not victims. The moment you will become a victim is when you are surrendering your powers, okay? When you start learning what this is, you start connecting the dots, you start asking the right questions, you read some, and you use your noggin. People, you got to use your brain, okay? My mom used to say, I have really funny mom. I have great mama. You know, my mom is freaking one of tough moms. She said, you know, your head is not to wear nice haircut and nice head on. It's for you to think on your own. This is not complicated. This is not complicated. And this is time that people put stop to this insanity. People, we got to stop this. All right. Oh, and by the way, as far as the APN, we can also help them to settle the accounting. Okay. So have no fear. Once it's with the assessor, we will help them to settle the accounting. So we can help them to balance the ledger. Because remember, we are the beneficiaries through this bankruptcy. We can also wear many different hats, so we can settle it, so everyone is happy. There's no reason to get mad. There's no reason to get upset. There's only reason to keep asking the right questions, connecting the dots, and acting on it. Because once you have this knowledge, once you know this game played, and you know how to stand on your square, like with me, no one is going to get me out of my square. Period. No freaking way. There's no way. I'm literally glued. I am glued to my square. I literally planted roots through my square. My roots through my square go very deep to the middle of this earth, all right? And I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm like a tree. You cannot move me. I'm like a tree that's standing, and you know, you can throw some wind at it. It's going to blow its branches, lose maybe a few leaves here and there, but you are not going to move this tree. The roots are very deep, okay? And it's not complicated, people. You have to really start reading all this paperwork because it becomes actually pretty hilarious. Okay, and when you start calling them on it, on their own bluff, they don't know what to do. Because you have to remember, they've been indoctrinated, they've been miseducated. I would love to go to one of these conferences, you know, where all these smart men go in all their wonderful suits, and they discuss the loaning business, you know, the moving of the money, and securitizing all these properties and all these mortgages. Oh my gosh, it must be fascinating. It must be totally fascinating. All right, my beautiful friends, I gotta run. I just wanted, and I will post this to the question so we can have the right discussion. We can be asking the right questions, connecting all the dots, and finally breaking free from this illusion that we actually own things. But once we start owning them, once we start learning about defending them, once we learn how to really stand on our square, oh my gosh, we will have a nation of deeply planted trees. My beautiful friends, have an amazing rest of Sunday. Sending much love, and I will see you on the inside on the next video.